Wanderers, welcome to central Vietnam. Here we are today, an hour's drive from Hoi An, at the Mai Son Sanctuary. This is a park dedicated to the ruins of the Champa Kingdom, which existed between the 4th and 13th centuries here. It was a Hindu Indian base spiritual religion based around some of the standard tenets coming from that area, and flourished here until it appeared that it was taken over by one of the more Vietnamese nationalities that had grown up through central Vietnam. We're going to wander through, have a look at some of the towers and the relics, and give you a bit of an expose. Please join us today. The park has a museum that you can walk into and have a bit of a look around. We're going to check that out next. Sanskrit indentations on the various ruins that are described here. Guys like this defend the monument by being placed at various strategic points and entry and exit areas to get into the temple. On a little shuttle bus for the 2-kilometre trip to the actual ruins. We've arrived. This had a 3-faced goddess sitting on a lotus, a female incarnation of the god of creation, Brahma. Come across a little bit more developed nature of the ruins, if you like. They're suggesting that this was built between the 7th and the 8th century. The earliest architectural views and use of materials by the Champa. This is Nandi, the holy bull. He's a gatekeeper and the mount of the god Shiva, usually put in the front of the temple as a protector. He's also a symbol of fertility. Davapala, a gate guardian, wearing the traditional sampole, although it's very hard to tell because he's damaged. This is the most impressive of this group of buildings.
Do you remember going to Bali and
One thing you'll notice here is the gorgeous number of butterflies. Haven't been able to get any photos because they're just too quick. Beautiful blues and oranges and yellows. As we come up to a substantial outline. Ooh, little closed in space. I think the significance of these can't be understated in terms of the Indian influence. Much of this has some signs around patronage by the government of India in terms of assisting with money to renovate and rejuvenate the park here. Probably around desires to suggest that the Indian influence goes quite beyond India and into other parts of Asia. This looks a little bit more contemporary, like they've cleaned it up and reassembled it. The most outstanding feature of this particular building are these statues built into the side, or marks, imprints into the side of the wall. There were suggestions in the museum up at the beginning of the park that these may have also had paint on them at various stages. but the effluxion of time has removed that, of course. Pillars that are laying horizontal have some quite distinctive and ornate markings in them as well. There's a few of those strewn around at various points in the park. The added bonus of coming here to Mai Son today is the fact of getting to see some gorgeous Vietnamese countryside, both on the drive in and through this park. It's a beautiful walk with lots of little waterways. So the interesting thing is that this was rediscovered, if you like, by a Frenchman by the name of Camille Paris, who was doing a survey for a railway. An archaeologist by the name of Henry Parmenter is credited with doing much of the bringing to the attention of the European community. What's a real shame is that much of it was destroyed in about 1969, in August, the month of my birth, by B-52 bombs being dropped by the Americans as part of a particular offensive around this area. This is the Group B complex, which is the most significant left in place, but Group A, which was further over that direction, was virtually completely destroyed by a number of bombs that had direct hits. You can again see the imprints of the various sculptures put inside. It's important to note that this was the centre of the religious and burial ceremonies for the Champa Kingdom. The actual capital was located about 10 kilometres further east from this area. Can't pronounce the name, but it certainly was the spiritual and religious capital of the Champa Kingdom at the time. This building has the most significant collection of cornices and other bits of stone that have been collected and placed in here. All probably have meaning and some outline. I mean, that looks a bit like the Indian Hindu elephant god. Is it Ganesh? Somebody like that? Very, very significant links to Indian history. I suspect this is a metal demonstration of some of the things that hit and destroyed the Group A complex, although I couldn't attest to that. There's our elephant friend again. Lots of leaf motifs. I don't know what that is. It's a leaf. And indeed, back to your Sanskrit as well. Very historically significant around Southeast Asia. This is known as one of the most well-preserved sites. What a piece of beauty. Thank you for joining us today at this UNESCO-listed site of Mai Son. It's one of those little treasures that you don't necessarily hear about. Indeed, I'd like to thank the Vice President of Research, Development and Innovation at Wild Man's Wanderings, Leona Lim, for discovering this one in her work, in her breakfast research, and putting it on the map for us all. I certainly wasn't aware of it, and I'm much richer for the experience. So wanderers, keep wondering. Thank you, and see you on the next video. Bye for now.